Well, Aaron, you're going to be happy because it turns out that this is not just a concern for Democrats. This is a bipartisan concern. So for my Republicans suck, let's take a look at Florida State Rep Randy Fine. He previously backed DeSantis, but recently switched to Trump. And here he is on the floor of the legislature crying about the amount of money that's been allocated to fighting anti-Semitic, quote unquote, hate crime in Florida. It was increased from $15 million to $45 million. So let's take a look at what Randy has to say.
I watched videos when I was a kid, grainy black and white videos of marches in Germany where people would say, kill all the Jews. I never expected that in 2023, my children would watch those on social media taking place in real time.
I don't think there have been marches where people are saying kill all the Jews.
Yeah, the only people who think that are people who have been totally falsifying what is actually being chanted. So you remember at these chants, you always hear, chants such as, Biden, you can't hide. We charge you with genocide.
With genocide, right.
And then there are some prominent anti-Palestinians who claim that what they're really saying is we want Jewish genocide.
Yeah.
Which is I'm sorry to laugh at that, but it's such a joke. And
it's so stupid.
If you listen just for a second to what is being chanted, it's such a blatant distortion. So maybe that's where that comes from. Is like the willful distortion of what people are actually saying.
Right. From people like Mayim Bialik of Blossom fame.
Blossom.
Yeah.
World that we live in today. And if I feel one thing in running this bill, I feel a great...
By the way, look how bored the guy in the pink shirt is.
...sense of regret that in the 7 years that I have tried to address these issues, that I have failed. Not only for myself, I made this commitment to my own children, and they have to deal with it, particularly my oldest, who goes to a public school. He's having to deal with it in ways that he should not have to. But nothing compared to many of these other children on college campuses and synagogues. And part of the reason I feel strongly about this is 19 times I was hurt badly enough that I had to go seek medical attention because groups of children who didn't like me because of who I was decided they would show me how much they didn't like me. It happened a whole lot more than 19 times, but 19 times it was bad enough that they had to take me somewhere to patch me up.
So he's saying because he's Jewish, he got attacked 19 times as a kid? I mean, it's not inconceivable. And that's a terrible thing, if that's true. Wow. He must have lived in a really anti-Semitic neighborhood to get attacked 19 times. Sorry. Just
a lot of times. 19 times.
Enough to have to get patched up. Yeah. That means he went to the hospital or the nurse.
But the problem is the reason why it's easy to laugh at the story is that there's just a preponderance of people who support Israel always claiming to be victims. It's like the whole identity of Israel as a state. We're committing genocide, but yet we're going to accuse people who chant from the river to the sea of genocide.
Right. Yeah.
It's this victim mentality. So it's hard not to be skeptical when someone who supports Israel claims that they were beaten up 19 times for being, even more than 19 times for being Jewish.
Yeah. Also, imagine the pain that Palestinians are going through who need to go to the hospital and can't go to a hospital because Israel's bombed the hospital. So it'd be nice if he had empathy out of his experiences of 19 attacks, more than 19 attacks. And I want to say something. My mom grew up in the Bronx. Her last name is Eisenberg. She had rocks thrown at her. Kids would throw her rocks at her. We have family friends. I know that we have family friends. They were called Dirty Jew. This woman actually, who I know quite well, she says this in my documentary, Commie Camp. She goes, kids would throw rocks at me. They would follow me home from school. They would call me Christ killer, but I didn't know what that meant because I didn't know who Christ was, which I think is a kind of a funny line. So I'm not making light of that, and I'm I don't refuse to believe these attacks. I do think 19 is a lot, but again, the reason I'm laughing is because my mom didn't grow up to be someone who then wanted to kill Palestinians, despite having rocks thrown at her.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's just such a disgusting weaponization.
When I was a kid, though, there was no one who came to my aid. But the person I want to thank, and I wish he was in the chair right now, is the speaker. This is not my bill. This is his. This bill started with $15 million. Because of him, it is $45 million. And if every non-Jew cared as much about these issues as you do, we wouldn't be in the situation that we're here today. This bill is for you. And thank you for protecting my children and every Jewish child that is out there. And with that, I ask for your favorable support.
By the way, I was looking into this Rep. Randy Fine from Florida. He's very interesting. He called a Jewish constituent a Judenrat, which means Jewish rat, and is a term for Jews who collaborated with Nazis. And he called his constituent that because he had the chutzpah to organize an event called Palestine-Israel Opening the Dialogue, which featured Israeli and Palestinian speakers. He's also celebrated the deaths of Palestinians, posting on Facebook, "The only people responsible for the deaths of children used as human shields are the terrorists using them as human shields. Hashtag bombs away." And also, there was this little investigation because text messages reveal that he tried to threaten Special Olympics funding over a personal beef. So he told a city council member that state funding for the Special Olympics was in danger because Jennifer Jenkins, a local school board member he didn't like, was invited to a fundraising event for the Special Olympics. And he was not invited. Fine was not invited. So he texted, "Jensen, just put your project and Special Olympics funding on the veto list." And he also called Jenkins a whore.
Yeah, I'm going to increase my skepticism of this guy's claim to have been a victim of bullying. He sounds like the classic bully who plays victim.
Yeah, totally.
And what is this $45 million going to be used for, like to combat anti-Semitism in Florida? Is this like more resources going to go into banning books maybe that acknowledge minimal Palestinian rights and minimal history, such as the ethnic cleansing of Palestinians? Like, that's the trend here of invoking anti-Semitism to justify cracking down on acknowledgments of Palestinian rights.
Right. Yeah. And maybe what he'll do with that money is he'll do stuff like send the SWAT team to shut down that kind of Israeli-Palestinian dialogue that his constituent organized, that he called him a Judenrat over. That's expensive if you're using SWAT teams, but required.
All right. Well, speaking of Israel supporters going wild, for Isn't That Weird, let's turn to one of the few celebrities who's putting it all on the line to support Israel. And I don't know if you want to, maybe celebrity is too kind of a term, but
has been.
People know his name. Yeah. People know his name. He's been in some stuff.
He's definitely an actor who lots of people have no idea what his name is. They just recognize him.
Yeah. Well, his name is Michael Rapaport, and he's been putting out regular social media videos declaring his support for Israel. So here he is.
Woo! Oh, man, you think calling me a Zionist is an insult? You think that's something that people get offended by? You think that that hurts our feelings? Being a Zionist simply means that you believe in the right for Israel to exist. You don't have to be Jewish to be a Zionist. You don't even have to agree with the governmental policies of Israel to be a Zionist. You could be Christian to be a Zionist. You could be a Muslim and be a Zionist. This is not an insult. You call me a Zionist, I go, and bitch, that does not hurt my feelings. Being a Zionist simply means that we believe in the right for Israel to exist. And if you don't believe in the right for Israel to exist, you're a sick fuck. You're a sick fuck, you dumb, uneducated, newfound, rape-supporting, kidnap-supporting, murderous, terrorist-supporting motherfuckers. This is not an insult. It's like a term of endearment. Zionists are proud to be Zionist, dingbat.
Dingbat. Okay.
That burns. That hurts.
Yeah. Well, again, your country's in rough shape when one of your few public allies in, the cultural field is Michael Rapaport. I know him because he made a documentary about A Tribe Called Quest about a decade ago that wasn't, it was pretty good. But other than that, I don't understand why he's even a thing. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. What can you say to that? He doesn't understand maybe that Zionism is not some benign idea where you believe in the right for Jews to have a homeland. I mean, for many people, that's an appealing idea, but it doesn't mean that anymore. What Zionist now means, you're supporting Israel, not only stealing the land of Palestinians, which is the basic history of Israel-Palestine, but now committing mass murder to perpetuate that, and to perpetuate a regime of Jewish supremacy, as the Israeli group B'Tselem calls it. And I don't know if he's aware of that basic history, but it's a sign of just how low Israel's stock is publicly. That it's Michael Rappaport, who's one of the few people now saying stuff like that in public.
Now, we should also emphasize that all powerful institutions are behind the scenes. I mean, yes and no. He's like the most maybe zealous of their supporters, but as we know, you're not allowed to criticize Israel because you'll get dropped by your talent agency, like happened to Susan Sarandon, or you'll get dropped from the Scream movies, as happened to Melissa Barrera. So it's not like Hollywood or the media aren't behind Israel, but they certainly don't have cheerleaders like Rappaport.
Yeah, somebody made a joke on Twitter. I think it was Will Menaker who said that, like, pretty soon in all the major like comic book franchises, we're going to see Amy Schumer, Sacha Baron Cohen, Michael Rappaport. They're going to be the only ones allowed to star in these films.
Right.
Everybody else will be out of work for not being as zealous in supporting Israel in attacking Gaza.
God, what a waste! Because Sacha Baron Cohen is so talented, but terrible politics on this.
Terrible politics, just unbelievable.
Yeah.